Welcome back to the Home Stretch podcast. Today's episode is so exciting because we're talking all about reflections on 2025 and also what we kind of look forward to for 2026 because it's a few days now before New Year's Eve. And I feel like this is one of my favorite times of the year because you get that opportunity to actually self reflect on the whole of 2025 and look forward to the new year ahead. During this time, a lot of people do plan for new habits, new fitness exercises and routines, or like food habits and stuff. But I really like to look at my life as a whole. And there's quite a few things that I do during New Year's Eve. And I've done it for the past like 3 or 4 years now that I'm going to share with you. And I feel like it really helps me grow and it helps set the intention for the whole year. And I swear now, it all comes true. Like anything that I kind of set myself for, it just tends to happen. It's really weird. And yeah, there's a few different things that I do that you might be able to implement yourself to then actually get a bit excited for the new year ahead because we want the best year of our lives, don't we? So why not start with self reflection of the year that's just gone, followed by setting intentions for the new year ahead? So yeah, I hope you enjoy this episode. I'm going to be kind of talking a bit about my year and then I'll go into some of the things that I do that I think you'll want to do too. So, thinking back to the year that has just been and gone, which is 2025, I want you to kind of have a think about what you feel like has manifested and has come into fruition, which you gave yourself at the start of the year. So, whether that's about career, whether that's about money, relationships, anything like that, I kind of want you to reflect on it because that's what I do every single year when it comes to the end of December. And I promise you, it's like one of the best sort of self reflection counseling sessions that you're ever going to give yourself. And it kind of helps steer you on the right path. You might have healed a lot of stuff in terms of relationships. You might be in a secure relationship now, whereas before you were just attracting toxic exes all the time. So for you, that part might be full and you kind of don't want to put your focus on that for the following year. Or you might also be not enjoying your job right now. So maybe a career is like what you want to focus your 2026 on. So whatever area of your life, I want you to kind of have a think about what you felt like you've achieved this year and then what you'd like to change for the following year. So in terms of me, now I feel like this year has been the best year of my life. Now, I turned 30 in September, just gone, and I can't tell you how many of my dreams, and I mean lifelong dreams here since I was like 16 years old, have come true all in the space of 1 year. So, to break it down into smaller segments, me and Nathan bought our very first house. We moved in February this year, which was a dream come true considering all of the delays we went through. So, another dream was that I was going to go fully self employed. And I did this in March of this year. Now, it kind of seems quite scary to some people going full time self employed, and it is because you're obviously taking a risk. You are taking a risk, so you're putting everything out there. You're not getting a steady income every month. And that's something that I think mentally you need to accept because there's going to be good months and there's going to be bad months. But for me, I was doing self employed work for like a year and a half before I left my job. So it was very easy for me to switch from full time work and self employed work to then full time self employed. So I feel like if anyone was wanting to do that, my best advice, honestly, is to do them like with each other. So don't just leave your job and go straight into self employed work if you haven't done any of that yet, because you don't really know if it's going to work. And, I'm all for following your dreams and just going for it and see what happens. But you kind of need to be a bit realistic where you need to make sure that you're making the money to pay your mortgage, to pay your bills, to pay your lifestyle, to actually be able to leave your full time job, if that makes sense. Because it is a security. Like a full time job is security for you. You're getting basically the same amount of money, more or less, every single month. And you can kind of relax a bit and you're kind of comfortable. Whereas when you then kind of transition into self employed work, it's up and down, it's a bit volatile, it's a bit crazy. So you need to be prepared for that. And I feel like if you haven't done them alongside each other, it's quite a big shock to the system. Yeah, my best advice is to do that if that is something you want to do. So going self-employed has been a huge, huge dream of mine since I was probably like maybe 24. I think 24 was the age that I was like, I really want to work for myself. I want to have that freedom of my time, because that for me is probably one of the most important things. Because you think about the amount of time that you spend at work. And then for me, I was like, I could be spending all this time on my self employed stuff and putting all my focus into that. And when you do work full time and then you do self employed on the side as well, it's really easy to get burnt out really quick. So you kind of want to not burn the candle at both ends to be able to enjoy the transition into going to self employed, if that kind of makes sense. So yeah, going self employed in March was one of my biggest dreams ticked off, because now I have the freedom of my time. I can go to the gym at 9 o'clock in the morning and come back and carry on working or work earlier in the day. Like, my time schedule is my own. And that for me makes me feel rich. It makes me feel wealthy. When people say, what does rich mean for you and having a rich life? A lot of people might say money, a lot of people might say happiness. But for me, it's freedom of my time. And now that I've got that, my mind still gets anxious sometimes, and I still kind of have blips and days where my emotions are a little bit all over the place. But in general, I have such a sound mind now, and I don't get like so overwhelmed and so anxious. Whereas when I was working full time, I did, because I didn't really enjoy my job by the end of it. So I feel like now that I've got that freedom of my time back, I feel rich. And I hope that whatever industry you're working in, that you feel that too. You know, you want to love what you do every day, and that's why you do it. Like, you're making money, you're being able to live the life that you want. So you want to make that enjoyable as much as you can. Even though I will say, anyone that works self-employed will understand this, but you never switch off. You always go through every single day as kind of work mode, and even on the weekends. And yeah, when me and Nathan went to Norway, that was probably the first time that I actually fully switched off. I didn't think we had signal on our phones for 3 days straight, and I've not had that for not working for like 2 years. So that was really nice to actually be like, right, that's it. I actually need to enjoy my time and not think about work constantly, because usually if you're not working, the money's not coming in. So for me not to work is kind of like I could be working, getting money, and if that kind of makes sense. So yeah, being self-employed is a lot of work, but it's always been a dream of mine. And it's probably got a lot to do with my dad and my mum. My dad basically had his business, still has, and my mum was working with him at the time. So I probably looked at that as like, that's what I want to do. I want to kind of build a brand, I want to build a company and just work for myself. It is a lot of hard work, and I've seen that obviously with my mum and my dad. But for me, I've always wanted that, and I've always wanted to strive for it. So now that I'm doing it, I'm like, this is so crazy, because this was a dream of mine and I'm literally living out my dream. And I probably take it for granted, to be honest. I probably don't realize how good I've got it, because having that freedom of time, not many people have that or have the opportunity to do that. So I'm very, very lucky. But I have put in the hard graft and the hard work to get where I am. It's not been plain sailing. It's not been easy. It has been difficult sometimes. So just be aware that if going self-employed and being your own boss is something you want to do, it does take time and it does take hard graft. But it's so worth it. And I love it every single day. I love what I do. I love my job. I love everything about it. And yeah, I'm just living my best life. It's crazy. So that is another thing that happened in 2025, which has been a huge change to my life for the positive, which I'm so happy and grateful for. And then I've been on some amazing holidays this year. So I went to Spain back in, I think, June, July time. And then Nicole and all my best friends surprised me with a holiday to Lake Como for my 30th. That is amazing, by the way. If you've never been to Lake Como, you need to go. It was so beautiful. The food was unreal. The people were really friendly, and it's just such a beautiful place. So we went to Lake Como for a long weekend. That was amazing. And then for my actual 30th birthday, a week after, Nicole surprised me with a little kind of like drinks evening with all my friends and family. So family came down from Nottingham and like loads of my friends and stuff. It was so nice. So that was a magical 30th birthday. And that's another thing. Like, I turned 30 this year. And for me, like, that is such a big milestone. I think looking back at my life, I'm so happy where I am now at 30. And people say like, oh, you have to have your life sorted out at 30 years old, and that old saying, but I just don't agree with that. I was 29. I was still living with my dad. I was working a job that I didn't really enjoy. So it's not meaning to say that you need to have everything figured out by 30, because leading up to 30 years old, I probably didn't either. So don't be too hard on yourself if you feel like you're not where you want to be when you turn 30, because everyone's life is totally different and different trajectories and stuff like that. And then for my actual 30th birthday, Nathan surprised me with a trip to Paris. So we went to Paris for a really long weekend. That was beautiful. The food in Paris was so good. The onion soup, I didn't realize I liked onion soup that much, to be honest, but I do. And then when we were sat by the Eiffel Tower, Nathan then gave me another present, which was a 12-night cruise to Norway to see the Northern Lights. Now, I have always dreamed of seeing the Northern Lights. It's been a dream of mine since I was very, very young. And there's just been something about the skies that fascinate me. And even when I was probably, I think I was like 16 or 17, I would go on to like live feeds of places in Canada or Norway and things like that to try and see the Northern Lights on like the screen. It sounds really sad, but that is literally what I used to do, because it's just been something that's been on my bucket list for a long time. And I've never really thought that I'd see them properly in real life. And Norway was going to be obviously a best place to see them. So that was the most incredible surprise. We were going to Norway, I think, October. So end of October for 12 nights. And we had the most amazing cruise that we saw the Northern Lights, which was incredible. We actually saw them 4 times. So we didn't just see them once, we saw them 4 times. And for me, that was just so magical. I think even the main cruise entertainment person said that it was the most times that the Northern Lights has ever been seen on the ship in his whole career. So we were really, really lucky. But if you are considering a cruise and you want to see the Northern Lights, then a Norwegian fjords cruise is like your best chance of seeing them, because you're basically in the Arctic Circle. Like we went right to the top to Hammerfest. And yeah, we saw them 4 times on the ship as well, like not even out and about. And because you're out in the middle of the ocean, there's no light pollution. So you just see them so clearly, like with the naked eye. It is crazy. You can just see them dancing in the sky. And it's one of those awe moments. You can't really explain it, but it's just like you're so present. It was amazing. It was so magical. And then on top of that, in Tromso, Nathan proposed to me on the top of a mountain. So not only did we get to see the Northern Lights, we also got engaged, and it was just so beautiful and so magical. I couldn't have asked for anything more. Nathan just gave the most amazing speech and my heart just melted. That's also been a dream of mine. Get married to the right person as well. And Nathan definitely is that. I feel like from the moment I met him, I knew that we were going to spend the rest of our lives with each other. It's weird. And you know, when people say you kind of know when you've met the right one, like that is such a true statement, because all my exes in the past, I never felt that way. There was always in and ahhing and just breaking up, getting back together, just very childish stuff. But whereas with Nathan, he has such a calm energy. And I feel like you need a secure, calm, trustworthy man in your life if you want to enjoy getting married to someone. Just even the first day at Glastonbury when we saw each other, it was just magical. And we stayed with each other all day. And yeah, it was just amazing. So the fact that he's proposed to me and we're going to be getting married maybe in the next couple of years, that is just a dream come true. So that's happened this year, which is just wild. And then lastly, we're having our first Christmas at home. And for me, that's been a dream of mine, not for too long because I haven't had to think about it. But over the past like maybe year or two, when we were looking at houses and thinking about getting a house, in my mind, I was just thought, I can't wait to host people and host my family. And this is just such a beautiful home and it's got such loving energy. And my mum's coming down from Scotland and Nathan's family's coming round. So I feel like it's going to be really wholesome and just so lovely. So yeah, that's also something to look forward to. But I've just had an incredible year, to be honest. I just can't believe how lucky I am to have so many amazing people that love me. I feel so grateful to be where I am in life and to be able to say that I enjoy my life and to say as well that I'm willing to take risks. I don't think a lot of people are willing to do that. I think a lot of people feel quite comfortable. Whereas for me, I will try something and if it doesn't work, I'll move on to the next thing. And that's just who I am as a person. Like even starting this podcast was a dream of mine a few years ago. I just had an idea and I just thought I'd really love to do something where I'm kind of giving people some advice on life lessons that I've learned that hopefully help people avoid the same things that I've gone through. So I feel like this podcast started off me talking about the house buying process because that's been a huge part of my journey and mine and Nathan's journey the past few years. But now I think I'm going more towards what I feel in my heart that I want to do and what I want to talk about. And that for me gives me more passion and more fire and more burn to actually do it and enjoy it. And hopefully everyone listening to this and watching this feels the same way. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here right now. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to be in a year's time. I feel like I'm just going with the flow and just enjoying life as it comes. Yeah, this year has been top dollar. It's been like the best year of my life, and I can say that hands down. So I'm very lucky, very fortunate, and it just goes to show that whatever you dream of in life, it can come true, and things can happen for you, no matter how far away you think they can happen. So let's get into what things you can do yourself in 2026 to kind of bring out your best self, to bring out your best life, and to actually enjoy the process along the way. I am a huge advocate for setting intentions and to have a very clear goal or goals in mind if there is something that you want to achieve in the next year for 2026. So, a few things that I do that I love and I stand by and I do every year for the past maybe 4 years or so. Number one is to have some form of vision board, whether that's a screensaver on your phone, which is what I do, or something on Canva that you can make, or actually having something in person. So getting like loads of magazines and cutting photos out or printing photos off and sticking it on a board. Just having something that you see every single day is going to be really, really important. Now, I use a screensaver on my phone because for me, I open this up all the time. And although I'm not consciously looking at it every single day and really staring at the photos, my subconscious mind is seeing that every day. I made it, I took my time with it, and even the house that me and Nathan bought is on this vision board. So, a few things that are on my vision board actually that haven't come true yet, which hopefully will someday in the future, is Canada. I've always wanted to go to Canada. I don't know why. I feel like doing a road trip or ice skating on a frozen lake, that has always been a dream of mine as well. That's something that I've always wanted to do. And I think Nathan's got family in Canada. So I really hope one day we can go over there and see them and also go traveling around Canada. I would absolutely love that. A few other things about my TikTok. I do feel like sometimes TikTok is a lot. Like you have to obviously post a lot. Same with YouTube, to be honest. But for me, then they were huge goals for me at the start of the year. But looking at them now, I wouldn't take that into my 2026 goals. Like I just wouldn't. I feel like there's more things that I want to focus on and yeah, that sort of thing. So goals can change by the end of the year. It can change and that's okay too. But it's just, that's how I was feeling in that moment. And although they've not come true, there's a reason for that. So whether or not I want to like relook at them and think, is that something that I actually want to strive for? Or shall I just change them entirely? So another thing, I've got good health on here. I've got a person doing yoga. Now, I have fallen in love with yoga again. I used to do it all the time on YouTube, but recently I've been going to the gym, my gym, and they have two yoga instructors that I absolutely love. They have just made me fall in love with yoga. And I probably do yoga like 4 or 5 times a week now for like an hour every single time because I'm like addicted to it. I feel like the calmness, the serenity, and being able to like be flexible with my body. Like I am so much more flexible now. And I've been doing it constantly for probably like 7 months, something like that. So yeah, I've definitely fallen in love with that so much. And that's definitely something that I'm going to take through next year. One thing I probably do want to do more of is like meditate at home or maybe some Pilates at home. I do that at the gym as well, just for floor Pilates, but it's so hard. Like people think reformer Pilates is hard, which it is, but mat Pilates, just with like a ball, it's a lot harder than people think. But kind of my physical body and my mental well-being is probably where I want to push my goals and shift my focus for next year. So that's exciting. And then I also had a kind of really nice office setup as a photo on here as well. And yeah, I've kind of done that, to be fair. I've got like all my crystals on my office. I've got like a good vibe sign up. and 1111 signs in there, which is just a bit of me. I kind of would like to make my office space a bit more nicer. Now, we do have a shed here, and my hope is to change it into a podcast studio, because my living room, although it's lovely and I'm comfy and I'm cozy and I love it here, I would just like somewhere a bit more set up and somewhere that I can kind of go and have that space to do the podcast things, because sometimes Nathan's working here, and when he is, I can't really film because he might be on a call or he might get a call and that sort of thing. For me, I would just like to have a bit more flexibility and have my own space and my own studio to actually carry on the podcast stuff. I think that would be really, really cool. So to do that as well, I probably will get a new camera. I do love my camera that is filming this right now, but I feel like it's more of a vlog style camera. So I want to get more of a high tech resolution-y type of camera, if that kind of makes sense. Like, this is quite good, but I'm just like looking for what's next on the agenda, and that is something definitely on the agenda. That is hopefully going to get done next year. It's going to be more my fitness, my mental well-being, and yeah, that sort of thing. That's the focus that I'm going to do for 2026. So that is one part of like kind of manifesting but setting intentions for the year ahead, because half of the stuff on there has come true. Another thing that I do is I always give the whole year one word. Now, that can seem quite broad. I feel like giving a year a whole, like describing the whole year in one word is so good. And I put that on my vision board as well. So here it says 2025, and my year's word for this year was growth. Now, I definitely feel like I have fit that bill this year. I've definitely grown. And that was kind of a generalization for me, because I wanted to kind of grow in areas of my career, in areas of like deepening my relationship with Nathan, and also just growing up, having a house and doing grown up stuff. And I feel like I definitely have done that. So giving yourself one word to describe the whole year is just a fun way to kind of implement and set the intention of what that year is to be. So I think my previous words for years, I think one of them was maybe abundant, and that was just in everything. Not, I feel like people think abundant means money, and it really doesn't. It can mean that as part, but it's also to do with happiness, fulfillment, joy, like abundant in everything in life, and mostly up here in your mind. It's not just about physical money or material things. It's about feeling abundant. And it's the same thing when people say, I feel rich or I feel wealthy. What does that mean to you? Because for some people, it's totally different, whereas others might think it's about money. It actually could just be spending more quality time with your family that makes you feel rich. I think for me, that's what abundant meant for me in that year. And I'm trying to think of the other ones that I did now. I feel like I can't remember them. But growth, abundant, balanced, I think was one as well. So the whole year was balanced in terms of my physical body and things like that. And I think I did a lot more meditation that year. I think I even set myself a challenge of meditating 10 minutes a day. And I did that for like maybe the first 2 months. And then I kind of just like sacked it off a little bit near the end. And I feel like that does generally happen sometimes with like New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. But I feel like now, because my headspace is more focused, I'm more wanting to actually carry on with my goals and stuff. I feel like one of my goals this year was to read one book a month. And I probably did that for maybe 7 months out of the 12. So that's probably another thing that I want to do. And I love self-help books. I'm a sucker for a self-help book. I don't know what it is. So that's probably something that I'll do, because I do love a book. I do love a book. So just wrapping up those 2 points is a vision board, whether that's physical or digital, and also having a year's word that you can kind of describe the whole year. So those 2 intentions are great. Those are the things that I absolutely love. But this next one is probably my favorite. Now, if you've never done this before, I highly, highly, highly recommend you do it, because when you look back in a year's time, you are so shocked with how much you've wrote down has come true. The exercise is kind of scripting, and you're basically writing a letter to your future self about all the things that have happened that year. And you're basically kind of like writing out your year as it's happening. So I do this every single year for the past 4 years again. And I do it on the 31st of December, because for me, it's kind of like the end of the year, it's New Year's Eve, and you're kind of like self-reflecting on what's happened, looking back to your mind a year ago, and you will be so shocked with what you were thinking about back then compared to where you are now. So every year on December the 31st, I get a piece of paper and a pen and I say to future me. And then I just start writing. So I just write everything that has come true. For example, me and Nathan were obviously going through the house buying process this time last year. So I'm sure when I read it this year, it might say, you are in your house at blah, blah, blah. You moved in, you're settled, you're now hosting your first Christmas. I don't know what it says, by the way. I haven't read it and I will read it in a few days. It's basically what you want to come true. Now, you might have some ideas about what you want to happen, or you might not have any ideas at all. But if you just start writing, your kind of subconscious mind takes over and it just starts writing things for you. You might think of things. You might see something funny like, oh, you've got blonde hair now, haven't you? I bet you've got the same hair color, or I bet you painted your living room blue. It could be anything. You could even be saying, reading this right now, sat on your new cream sofa. You just never know. Just try and go into real detail and just put in some random things in there. Like, why not? And I swear to you, 95% of every single thing that I write down has come true or does come true. So it's powerful stuff. And I feel like because you're reading it in a year's time, it kind of moves the universe in ways that makes things come true in a weird way. But that is one thing that I absolutely love doing. And I sometimes do this with other things too, either if it's like a month on month thing. I did do that at one point, but that was just a bit too much for me. So I just condensed it now down to a year. But even when I was in Lake Como with my friends, we did a letter to our future selves in a year from now. So next year, I'll have a letter in August to open and a letter in December. So yeah, all of the girls done that. All of their letters are here. So we'll probably get together in August and then all open them together and just see what's come true. So that's going to be really, really fun. And it's just a fun exercise. If you've never done it before, just try it. And you would be so shocked at what actually comes true. That is one of the main things that I do when it comes to the end of a year. And try and set yourself realistic goals, but don't overdo it. I feel like it's so easy to set new habits and just things like that. It's hard to stick with them if it's too much. Like if you're giving yourself 10 brand new habits, but you're not incorporating them slowly, or you're saying an hour this a day, an hour that a day, but you technically don't have those hours in the day, then you're not going to do them. So if you are setting some new goals for 2026, just make them a bit realistic, or even just condense them down a bit. If it's meditation that you want to bring on for 2026, just do 5-10 minutes a day, or 5-10 minutes every other day. Like just make them condense enough for you to actually stick by them. But yeah, I love goal setting, and I feel like the end of the year is just the perfect opportunity to start it. Even saying that, you don't have to start new goals on Jan the 1st. Like that isn't realistic sometimes. You can just do it in December. If you want to start today, then start them today. Have a little think about maybe right now about what you want to happen in 2026 and start getting some ideas about if you wanted to do a meditation. It could be while you stick the kettle on, you go and sit down in the living room and do your 10-minute meditation before you have your morning coffee. It's just slowly integrating things into your life that fit. And I'll tell you one real good book that I absolutely love, and I read this every now and again when I feel like my habits are a bit out of place, is Atomic Habits. Now, I can't remember who the author is, which is bad, but it's an amazing book and it really helps you kind of like finalize your habits in your mind, and it eases them into your life. It makes them not too difficult. And again, it condenses them down so it can fit into your life. And one of the examples in there is to kind of stick the kettle on and do, I don't know, 50 squats or 100 jumps or something like that. So yeah, definitely read that book if you're wanting to start some new habits in 2026. It's a real good book. And if you've got any other book recommendations about self-help, mindfulness, that sort of thing, habits, please let me know, because I love reading. And going into 2026, I think I am definitely going to read more. So yeah, if you do have any good book recommendations, please let your girl know. That's basically today's episode, all about self-reflections for 2025 and also things to look forward to in 2026. And whatever you're up to this new year, I hope that the new year of 2026 brings you happiness and joy and you just have the best year of your life, like I have this year. And I'm on the up now. I feel like there's no coming down. I am ready to take on the world. I'm just ready to see more of the world and just to enjoy it more and be a bit more present. And I feel like yoga, meditation, mindfulness is going to do just that. And that is really what I'm going to focus on next year. So, yeah, whatever 2026 brings, I hope it is a good one for you. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that episode with me today and it's got you thinking a little bit more about your new year ahead. If you've got any goals for 2026, please do let me know. Write them down in the comments. If you did like this podcast, please give it a like. It goes a long, long way and it makes me feel like I'm not talking to myself and makes me realize that people are actually taking in the things that I'm saying and putting them into practice, because these things work for me. It's not to say that it's not going to work for you, but everyone is different. Just try things or something that is kind of stuck in your mind. Just give it a go, because you never know. You might be manifesting the best year of your life. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.